What is industrial agriculture? You probably already know that farms produce food. But agriculture affects more than the food we eat. Everything from the water we drink, the air we breathe, our climate, and our energy choices are tied to agriculture. Chances are you've never worked on a farm, but maybe you've been lucky enough to visit one. Even if you've never set foot on a farm, you probably have an idea of what one looks like and how it operates. Maybe it even looks like this: a small family farm with fruit trees and rows of vegetables to be sold in a market for people to eat. Foods like bell peppers, squash, and tomatoes, with a cow, some sheep, and chickens, and lots of open space. In reality, most farms operate as factories with industrial systems and waste products. Most of the farms in Missouri grow corn or soybeans exclusively. These kinds of operations are called monocultures. They use fossil fuel-based inputs, including synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, which are often over-applied and find their way into our groundwater and nearby lakes, rivers, and streams after a rainfall. Livestock are also raised with these types of intensive practices. Large livestock facilities are known as concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs. CAFOs house thousands of hogs, chickens, cows, and other animals raised for food. They are also referred to as factory farms. It's common for CAFOs to use antibiotics to prevent the spread of disease, the risk of which increases when animals are kept in overcrowded and unhealthy conditions. With a lot of animals comes a lot of manure. The manure is often kept in man-made lagoons. Lagoons can break, allowing manure to leach through our soil and into groundwater. Even if the lagoons do not break, the manure is often sprayed across monocultures as fertilizer, but can be over-applied in order to empty the lagoon, running off into nearby streams. Given that Missouri has over 180,000 miles of rivers and streams, we are all downstream from some agricultural activity. Crop and manure runoff can cause high concentrations of phosphorus, nitrogen, and ammonia in our rivers. These pollutants threaten our drinking water supply, harm aquatic ecosystems, and can contaminate the creeks and rivers where we play, swim, and fish. Here in Missouri, over half of our drinking water comes from rivers and streams, including the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, which are major sources for Kansas City and St. Louis. Industrial agriculture operations are also usually located far from the food's final destination. Most of the food at our grocery stores traveled over 1,000 miles. You can't pick up the phone and call the farmer in Chile if you have a question or a problem with your pepper because you don't know exactly where that pepper came from. So, what happens to the crops we do grow here in Missouri and the U.S.? In the U.S., we're barely growing peppers. Only 2% of our nation's cropland is growing fruits and vegetables. Just like the rest of the country, Missouri grows mostly corn and soy. Corn and soy crops are predominantly used to make animal feed and ethanol. Of the small amount of corn and soy that actually goes toward human consumption, the majority is used to make high-fructose corn syrup and other processed food ingredients. The farmers that do remain committed to growing fruits and vegetables do not have the same government support as their commodity crop counterparts. As a result, whole fruits and vegetables can be more expensive than unhealthy processed foods. These price differences between nutritious and nutrient-deficient foods encourage consumers to make unhealthy choices. And there is an additional challenge when healthy and affordable food cannot be found close by. Low-income communities and communities of color often lack the kinds of food choices and resources found in more affluent neighborhoods. In 2015, nearly 1 million Missourians experienced food insecurity. The good news is that there are alternatives to the food system we have at hand. Supporting smaller-scale farmers in our region offers one way to take action. These farmers tend to grow a wide variety of foods. Not only does this encourage healthy eating, it also means that their farms are more resilient to pests, disease, and drought. These farms also tend to engage in practices that are more environmentally friendly than those of their industrial counterparts. These can include interplanting, soil and water conservation practices, and chemical-free pest and weed management. There's also a lot to be said for having a personal connection to the people growing your food. When you buy from small, local farms, you support your local economy, and you know more about what you're eating. You also show that you're invested in environmentally and socially responsible agriculture. Because industrial farms receive the majority of government economic support, local organic food can often have a higher price tag. Many small farmers growing fruits and vegetables don't have the same resources as larger industrial operations. The more we all buy local when we can, the more we support our local economies and environments. We know that industrial agriculture impacts our water, wallets, and health. It also greatly impacts our climate. A United Nations report found that animal agriculture produces 18% of the world's greenhouse emissions, and subsequent studies have found that number to be even higher. For comparison, the EPA reports the transportation sector is responsible for 14% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Because we support industrial agriculture over smaller farms, the U.S. must import many of the foods we think of as healthy and nutritious. Remember that pepper from Chile? In 2014, the U.S. exported over $24 billion worth of soybeans and $11 billion worth of corn, while importing over $20 billion worth of fruits and vegetables. Animal manure lagoons at CAFO operations also emit carbon dioxide and methane. The average adult cow produces between 80 and 120 kilograms of methane each year. While methane from livestock makes up only 6% of all greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, methane is 30 times more potent than carbon dioxide, CO2. Intense rain, followed by periods of drought influenced by climate change, have also made it difficult for farmers to plant, grow, and harvest crops. As rising temperatures continue affecting our environment, it's more important than ever to support small-scale local farmers over industrial agriculture operations. Our food system won't change until consumers stand up and take action to make it happen. To support your local farmers, you can sign up for a community-supported agriculture, where you get a portion of a farmer's production every week. Ask your favorite restaurants and grocery stores where they get their food, and encourage them to source locally. To limit your environmental footprint, try reducing your meat consumption. If you do eat meat, purchase local and pasture-raised, antibiotic and hormone-free meat. You can also support sustainable, community-focused food efforts by growing your own food. Educate others about our food system. Tell your friends and family what you know about how industrial agriculture affects nearly every aspect of our health and our environment, from our soils, water, air, and climate. And support the Missouri Coalition for the Environment.